Yo, what is going on, guys? This is Solar Gaming here. I'm doing a live commentary over Destiny 2 and basically why it is going to fail if Bungie keeps doing what they're doing. And by the way, guys, I'm recording this with a blue snowball mic. If you're wondering why the audio is different, that is what I'm recording with today. Yeah, I don't want to waste any time. Let's get right into this. Okay. So, yet again, before I get started, I need to say a few things. One being that I'm not trying to bash Destiny 2 in any way. I just want Destiny to become the game I think it's capable of becoming, as well as many others think. And I just want to have a fun game to play, and not the game we're playing right now. So, basically, what is Bungie doing that is so terrible? What is so terrible? Well, the main thing being what they're doing is not saying anything at all, really. If we look at the main problem with Bungie, it's that they don't reply to any of its fans, none of its community. It goes completely in the dark, completely silent. If we look at games like Dark Souls and Fortnite's actually on the edge of becoming Game of the Year, solely on being that it's a free game and its developers are very fast on responding to what the community says needs to be changed, and they change it immediately with multiple patch notes. Bungie has said in the past that their game is harder to fix, solely being the mechanics that they have in the game and the types of damage that the guns are dealing to the enemies and the mechanics happening in game. Well, there's two things wrong with this. One being, well, your game is only 30 frames per second, so it really can't be that hard to make a patch note fix. And even if it was, there are multiple games we can compare that are 10 times harder to patch, and they get patched on a frequent basis. What games would I be talking about? Well, let's take Dark Souls 3 for instance. Dark Souls 3 is, I believe, 60 frames per second. Correct me if I'm wrong, even if it is 30. It has way more mechanics going on, much more damage outputs, more weapon art attacks, many more of that sort of deranged thing. And Dark Souls actually patches stuff quite frequently. I'd say about once every week, maybe once every 2 weeks. And Bungie patches Destiny probably once every month or two. I think we've only seen one patch, if that, since the past 2 months have gone through. One big patch, that is. The small patches they do don't fix anything, let's be honest. The Mida tool has been a major problem since the launch of Destiny, and yet it still is. And there has been nothing, no repercussions done about it, even though the entire community is saying that it needs to be fixed. And why isn't it fixed? Well, purely because, well, like I said, Bungie does not care, and they go completely in the dark and silent, and they don't care what the community says. They will do whatever they want to do, because they are money whores. I hate to say it, but Bungie is a money whore, and I think Activision kind of deranged them into that. I think they kind of did. If you guys didn't know, a lot of people don't know, Activision is partnered with Bungie. They partnered since year 3 in Destiny 1 during Rise of Iron launch. And if you guys don't know, that's actually when Eververse started becoming quite a problem. What problem is that, you might ask? Well, I'm going to introduce you to the topic of microtransactions. Activision is the mastermind of this. If we look at games like Black Ops 3 and Advanced Warfare, which is really where it started, they have these things called supply drops where you can earn them in game, but it's pretty hard to get. I just got a Bright Ingram in this video. I'm actually going to talk about that here in just a second. What's wrong with that my friend Pyramid actually told me about. I will be leaving his channel description because I will be touching on some of the topics he's been talking about too. Getting back into Activision, the supply drops, basically what they did was they made all the best guns that were game breaking and were better than the other guns in the game, they put into supply drops that you could actually pay for. to get the in-game loot. Excuse me. What guns might I be talking about? Well, if we're talking about Call of Duty right now, we can reference the M16 from Black Ops 3, the XMC, or as we all know it as the MSMC from Black Ops 2, was extremely overpowered. We look at the FAMAS, we can look at the Speakeasy, the Obsidian Steed. All of these guns completely game breaking, and yet you could only earn them from supply drops. Now, how is Bungie implementing this into their game? Well, they're not actually implementing any game-breaking guns, but they're doing something a bit different where they're implementing all the best gear and emotes. Now, you might say, well, that's not game-breaking. How does that really ruin the game? Well, it ruins incentive, and incentive is a very huge part of why people play a game. Incentive drives people to get back on, have fun, have excitement with their friends. Why is Destiny lacking incentive? Well, you basically have to purchase to get the best gear. Yeah, I know it sounds really weird, doesn't it? Yeah, so basically all the best gear obviously is in these Eververse loot packages, and I can't actually remember the name of the gear set on the top of my tongue. You can put it down in the comments if you remember. It might come back to me in this video. But that gear looks sick, you know? It looks really sick, and I want it. But how would that make you guys feel? How would it make me feel if I wore armor that I bought, you know? I didn't earn it. I basically just bought my way to get the best armor in the game. That doesn't really make sense, does it? You know, if game companies were actually smart, they would put the best armor and loot for the hardest achievements in the game that you have to do, making players want to wear that gear to show what they have achieved to other players. Obviously, Bungie did not think about that when they created Eververse. Another thing they have in Eververse are the exotic emotes. This is a big problem because, well, the exotic emotes are one of the coolest things I've seen in quite a while, actually, and I'm sure a lot of you guys will agree. I like the whole artsy factor with the characters and what they're doing, and I just don't understand why you'd put that only in loot packages, you know? Put that stuff in game, make a bunch of them. Why do we just have a couple? I mean, you're trying to branch out your game here. Why are you doing this? You know? Another thing that they're not listening to the community about. Get rid of Eververse. Come on, Bungie. Get rid of Eververse. We don't want these microtransactions in our game. Another thing with the money whoring. If you guys did not know, I've talked about this in my previous video, but if you buy the season pass, you are only going to get 2 out of the 4 DLCs. Yes, that's right. They have not talked about the last 2 DLCs yet. And surely because they don't want to piss people off who got the season pass and don't know this yet. So if you're watching my video and you bought the season pass and you're thinking you're getting all 4 DLCs, that's not the case. This is not Call of Duty. It is not Call of Duty. And actually that brings me to another subject in Call of Duty right now for my World War II subscribers. If you're wondering why we have 9 maps that are completely shit, that is because those maps, my friend Pyramid was saying, are actually supposed to be the DLC maps, and I think that's actually a great theory. I think he's completely right on that, because if we look in the past, besides Black Ops 2, most of the DLC maps have been complete trash, and it seems like that's what we're starting out with in this Call of Duty, and I think his theory is great, that in the DLCs, we're actually going to be getting the better maps, which is going to make players want to pay for them more. Now, a lot of you guys might ask me, what's your opinion on the first DLC that's coming out for Destiny, Curse of Osiris? Well, I have some good things to say about it and a couple bad things to say about it. The good thing is that they released it pretty early compared to the other DLCs. They did release it pretty early, but unfortunately, the problem with that is they kind of had to, you know, they're kind of forced into that because, let's be honest, the content in Destiny 2 went away pretty quick, not nearly as bad as D1 did. D1's incentive to play was there for quite a long time, really. I know a lot of players stayed on D1 just purely to get that one item that they really needed. And in this game, it seems like you can get that without really trying at all. At all. So now going back to those bright engrams, what was I going to say about that? Well, my friend Pyramid and I were talking about this earlier in the week, and he actually brought up the subject that there is a end game descending percentage of the bright engrams and how fast you get them. What is this basically? Well, basically, as you're doing public events and you're getting closer to your bright engram, there is a decreasing multiplier once you're doing these public events. And I'm not sure what he said it was at first. He says at first it starts out small at like 5 or 10%, and it just gets bigger and bigger to where you're only getting 20% of the XP on your bright engram bar than the original 100 you were supposed to get. I will try to leave a link down in that for you guys to read about that as well. That's an interesting article. I'm not going to go too in depth on it because I don't know that much about it right now. I just know the summary is that they're basically bullshitting us and getting our bright engrams. And guys, that just leads me back to the point of them being money whores. The reason why they have this deconing system, and they actually admitted to it. If you didn't know that as well, Pyramid told me about that. They admitted to having this descending percentage in bright engrams, and that's terrible. That's terrible that you're admitting that you meant to put it in there, because that shows your money whoring. That shows that you don't want us to get these bright engrams for free. You want us to pay for them, which is complete bullshit. Complete bullshit. Like I said, I'm gonna leave an article if you want to read about it down in the description. Now, going back to my opinion on the Curse of Osiris, what do I think of it overall? I think the story is going to be quite well. I do think that the story is going to be well. I think that Osiris is a great character. He's got a lot of lore on him. Now, given that Osiris is such a main character, do I think they could have done better? Of course. Of course I think they could have done better. This DLC, guys, I hate to say it, is only going to last about a week or two. I'm not trying to, like I said, blatantly attack Destiny 2 right now. I'm sorry for those of you that expected this DLC to last a lot longer than what I just said. But unfortunately, guys, if we're talking about the loot aspect, and you playing it just regularly, I'm not even saying you have to go through it fast. If you play the story regularly and you play the raid on all 3 characters, you will probably be completely looted out on the Curse of Osiris within 1 to 2 weeks. And I'm being completely honest with you guys. That's how long it looks like it's going to last. Now, PlayStation is actually allowing people to sell their Season Pass right now just because of how bad, well, you can refund your money. If you contact PlayStation, they can refund you right now if you don't want to play the DLC just based off that. Do I recommend that you do this? I don't know. It's really up to you. Do I think your money would be better spent elsewhere? Of course I do. These DLC guys are not worth the $60 or $40, whatever you paid for it. I think your money would be better well spent on Fortnite, actually. Fortnite or Call of Duty, anything but Destiny, really. What can you get on Fortnite? You can get these really cool skins, and actually they are durable. They last forever. You can use them forever. Well, you're like, well, you can do that in Destiny too, can't you? No, you can't. You're paying for DLCs that unfortunately aren't tangible and don't last. The next DLC gets rid of them. That's all I have to say for now, guys. This is Solar Gaming. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm out.